Huge episode this week, boys. Huge episode. So much to get through. Ooh. We have a recurring guest. Hopefully this time we don't get a lockdown announced in the middle of this episode.
I know, right?
If so, then you're our bad luck charm. It's Dylan.
Hello. I'm back.
He's back, baby.
We're killing it with guests this season, Aiden. We're doing well.
We are doing very well. What an ambitious season.
It is. Just like season 6 itself. Ambitious. Very ambitious.
Hopefully this is slightly more successful than that, though. Dylan, how have you been?
Yeah, I've been pretty good since we last spoke.
Yeah.
I've seen the Suicide Squad twice.
Wow.
Stop teasing it.
Wow. Lucky duck.
Yeah, but apart from that,
Yeah.
just been cool, man. How about you guys? How have you been?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good. I've been lovely.
Doing okay.
I had the displeasure
great.
of seeing Connor on the weekend.
Yeah, that was horrible seeing Aiden. Jeez.
Yeah. No,
How
Connor,
was
he
it?
performed
How
a
was it?
pretty good DJ set, which was nice.
Thank
And
you.
it was fun because it was like a sci-fi themed party. So I stuck a bit of red paper to my blazer and went as Peter Capaldi.
Classic Pete.
Oh yes, I saw this. You posted it on the Twitter account, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah,
Daddy
that's
Pete
at
style.
50
Yeah.
Doctor, everyone. Woo.
Follow us,
Yeah,
baby.
that's cool.
Yeah, everything I wanted to say about that party, which we'll get to the actual announcement in a sec, but the party was after the day after Jodie and Chib had been announced leaving, or like 2 days after.
Crazy.
And I went up to two people who were cosplaying as the Doctor, one of them as Matt Smith and one of them as Jodie herself. And to the Jodie person, I was like, "Rip you next year, am I right?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, pain. What? And then the Matt Smith person also had no idea what I was talking about.
You see
I was
that
like,
a lot.
You're cosplaying as a Doctor.
You see that a lot. You really do. You really do see that a lot more than you'd think. People who are just like love that kind of like love dressing up and stuff and talk about the show a lot, but they're not caught up or like caught up on the news or even like in the loop.
Which is
fair.
I saw a relatable tweet today where it was like, it's hard to think that the vast majority of Doctor Who fans don't like make it their personality.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
really.
That's true. Not everyone has a rewatch podcast like us. Some people have lives.
Yeah. Some people get something good on their Tuesday nights.
God damn it.
Cool. Yeah. So obviously the big announcement of Jodie and Chib leaving. We've got a lovely panel of the three of us here. Let's dash out some thoughts. Dylan, you're the guest.
Go
What
ahead.
are your thoughts
Tell us.
on Jodie leaving in 2022?
And Chibnall.
I'm many things. Confused, upset, a little bit happy. It's everything really. Like I'm upset. I'm upset that Chibnall has been talking about this whole 5-year plan since 2017, and yet we've only got 2 seasons, one of which isn't very good. And the fact that he's been saying it's a 5-year plan, and yet we've only got these 2 seasons. Was the entire plan just for us to have like 3 seasons, like a lot of gaps in between?
Yeah.
Nothing really feels like the era. I feel like the era is very non-existent. I feel like I'm still getting used to this Doctor and this era of the show. I'm sad to see Jodie leave. I really like Jodie as a Doctor. I'm also annoyed that they're leaving a year before the 60th. Makes me wonder what the 60th is going to be.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a multi-Doctor story? Are we going to get anything? But what I will say is there are a lot of people who immediately, as soon as they found out the news that, Jodie and Chibnall were leaving, despite not being not my doctors and whatnot, were immediately like, oh, thank fuck for that. I'm so happy they're leaving. They were so shit. And you know what? To that I want to say, like, yeah, sure, like, this era isn't great. Like, I would admit that I'm not the biggest fan of this era, but I feel like Jodie and Chris Chibnall have only ever been nice, like during interviews, during responses, they've only ever been nice.
Yeah.
And yet the way the fans have treated them is like horrible.
Yeah.
Like, compare that to like Noel Clarke and John Barrowman. Like, why are we treating generally good, nice people like shit when there are horrible people that have worked on the show that deserve it way worse than what we've been giving the current people working at Doctor Who?
Yeah, totally. That's just the worst thing about the Whovian fan base at the moment is just how they just lash out for these just dumb things like, you don't agree with it, move on, come back the next era. You know, you don't have to like every episode and every season. You said, like, because you don't like season 12. That's the series you don't like, isn't it?
11. He doesn't like.
Yeah, I really like series 11.
Oh
yeah.
No, I really like series 11.
Oh,
not a big fan of series 12.
Okay, yeah.
That's what was really weird for me was when I first watched it. Didn't really like series 11, but then when I watched series 12, I was like, series 12 is great. I love that series. Yeah. And then now that I've had time to digest it, I'm really looking fondly back on series 11. Like, I'm really looking forward to rewatching series 11. And series 12, I'm a bit like, it's a bit of a mess of ideas. You know, there's a lot of things happening.
Series 11 and 12 are very similar to series 5 and 6. In terms of, like, series 11 is a very simple story. I know there's no arc, and people don't really like that, but for me, it's just a nice breather in between, like, big Moffat arcs and whatever the fuck series 12 is doing.
Yeah.
But in series 6, it's like Moffat spitting out all these ideas that don't really go anywhere and don't really work. And it's the same for series 12. I think dangling Captain Jack in front of us, or here's the fugitive doctor, or what is the Timeless Children, is an interesting idea, but when you pull it off in the way that they did, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Connor, what are your thoughts?
Well, look, it was certainly a surprise, especially after Comic-Con had just happened. And it was like, I don't know, maybe they didn't want to announce it there just because they didn't want that to be the highlight to take away from the panel, because obviously the trailer dropped.
I think so.
Yeah, there was obviously like some like cast announcements and stuff, and there was a few hints and teasers for season 13 and all that. I think it's the best thing for the show. I'm saying I'm glad they're going, it sounds bad, but like I'm really excited to see also how they handle these next couple of episodes, this next season, and these specials. I think my excitement has gotten I've gotten more excited because I feel like now we could actually have something of like a cohesive story, a cool arc for Jodie's Doctor. And I think just for the show's sake, I think it's best that it was time for Chibnall to move on. As for Jodie, I've never, like Dylan said, I've never really felt connected to her Doctor personally, and I've never felt connected to her era, and I think that's just down to the writing. As for the way people handle it, I definitely,
which is a shame.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I really hope, I really 100% doubt they're going to go back to a male Doctor. So I really hope this time round we can do, a female Doctor right, and I think they'll learn from their mistakes. But obviously, you did see those people on Twitter who really thought that, all their negative comments, it's like they won. Like, I don't agree with that. I mean, I was sending some memes around, all week, but that I saw on like TARDIS post in the group that we're on Facebook, and I definitely think some of them took them too far, but I think we can all have a good joke about it, and I agree, Dylan, about what you said about how they've never seemed like bad people. I said this last week on the show. You can never look at what Chibnall did, regardless if you're not a fan of him or not. You can never look at what he did and say that he wasn't ambitious. I can respect the fact that he took risks, and that takes a lot of balls as a writer, I think. So, that's where I stand at it. I think it's exciting,
I do think that we will look back on this era. I mean, I personally, I'm very indifferent. I like some parts of it, I don't like some parts of it. But I do think the general fan base will look back on this era more kindly than it does now. Because if you remember, back series... People hated Capaldi, Capaldi's first series. People hated series 9. It was only until series 10 where people were like, "Oh, Peter Capaldi is a good Doctor, and Stephen Moffat actually knows what he's doing."
Yeah, people were hating on Moffat for a long time as well, which I think people forget to remember.
I have a theory about myself that I'm always going to hate the current series that's airing.
Yeah, right.
I swear, since series 5, I've just been like, "Oh, this is dog shit."
Well, it can happen sometimes. First thing, what stuff is just sometimes it just doesn't work for you. You need a rewatch,
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I think now, because I think like a lot of us, I think about the show so much that I go into each episode not with expectations, but I don't know. I sometimes I think oh, I know where this is going, and when it doesn't go that way, sometimes I'm like, that's dog shit. Why isn't it doing what I told it to do? Yeah. Why are you being creative?
So it's basically, the Mephisto effect.
Yeah.
With WandaVision, when everyone was like, "Oh, Mephisto," and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And now everyone shits on that show. It's not even that bad. It's not even a bad show. It's just it didn't do what they wanted it to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same with Doctor Who. I've got a question for you guys whilst we're at it.
Yeah.
What series or what period of Doctor Who has made you go, do you know what? I don't think I want to watch anymore. Whether it was because whether because you was watching other shows or because you didn't you felt like you was too old.
Well, Aiden's the king for this question.
Anything like that.
Because he had this massive emo face. I was always pretty good with it, I think. But
my Arrow and Walking
Aiden,
Dead
you go
phase.
first. What was your...
No. Well, it's so funny because now, even though I don't think any of the episodes in this run of episodes are perfect, it is my favorite run to watch for some reason, and that's series 7B.
Oh, and this season we'll do it now. I was like, jeez.
No.
Yeah.
So 7B, all of the episodes are so imperfect, and I kind of love that about it now. And I just love the vibe of it, and it's such an exciting time of the show in the lead up to the 50th. But at the time, I hated it, and this episode still, I'm interested to see what I think of it on rewatch, but I've still never really been able to get through it properly since my first watch. And that's Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. And
it's crap.
I genuinely
really
remember we were literally moving out of my old house, moving into this new house, and there was no furniture, nothing fun left in the house. Everything was packed away. And I sat down and I was like, yes, okay, another episode of Who I'm not vibing at the moment, but maybe this could be the one. And I watched it, and I turned to my parents and I said, I don't know why. I was angry. I was like, I don't know why I watch this fucking show anymore. It's so bad. And I was like, I don't know. That really nearly made me stop. And then I really enjoyed Naming the Doctor a few episodes later. And I think from then on, I was pretty keen on the show again, despite some of its flaws. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Connor?
I think particularly in Capaldi's era, as much as I loved him as a Doctor, I was also just getting older. And I think, I grew up with the show pretty much my whole life. So, ever since I was 6 or something. So, I've really grown up with it. And I think I've gone through different stages. With David, I was a child. And with Matt, I was going through puberty and stuff. And I feel with Peter's era, that's when we were in senior school, Aiden and stuff. And I think I was just starting to get to the point where I was just I used to I was probably going to save this story for Asylum of the Daleks, but I remember I stayed up to by myself to 3 a.m. refreshing the ABC iView page for Asylum of the Daleks to come up. I just stayed up because I was so excited. And then when it got to season 9ish, I would wake up and I'd sleep in for an extra hour, and then I'd watch Doctor Who. I wasn't a kid on Christmas morning getting ready to jump out of bed, but I think it certainly got to a point in season 9 and 10. Again, as much as I love Peter, he's my favourite Doctor, but I was just not necessarily I'm not going to watch, but I wasn't in a massive, and I'm still not. I think every season I'm getting less and less engaged, which is why I'm excited for a new Doctor, a new showrunner, because I'm hoping it'll relight that spark. But I also just think when you get older, your nostalgia for stuff just dies. I swear to God, I feel my nostalgia for everything died the night we went to go see Force Awakens midnight screening. That's where we peaked. It never got better than
Nothing
that
will ever beat that.
Nothing will ever beat that. And I feel we were just we were on the cusp of going into year 12 of graduating, start the rest of our lives, and I just think that that I almost get sad because I wish I was literally thinking about it at work the other day. I'm I don't think I'm ever gonna get excited for something as much as I did that, which is kind of sad, but I'll always watch the show whenever I can.
I agree.
It's just I'm not in a necessarily a massive rush when always watch it the day it comes out. But the best way to describe it is I'm not necessarily in a massive rush in the morning to watch it. I can wait a couple of hours.
I still get weirdly excited for it. Like I said last week, I think I said it on the show, that it was my girlfriend woke up at 5 a.m. The day the trailer came out to go to work, and I didn't have work, I think, or I didn't have work till later in the day or something. And so I could have slept in, but for some reason she woke up 5 a.m. and instantly I was I've got to watch the panel. And I was so excited for it. And I still, I don't know. I still do find myself getting up early to watch the episodes and things like that. I don't know. Maybe it's sad. Maybe I'm holding on to my childhood too much.
I think I'm exactly the same. Like, I will watch unless I can't, I will watch the episode as soon as it comes out. Obviously, I'm in the UK, so I can watch it on the TV.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether that's because I have excitement for the show or whether it's because I'm just so used to, since, like, obviously, like you and Connor, since I've been a kid, like, just watching Doctor Who every week. Am I excited for what's going on right now, or am I just, like, trying to keep up with what I've been doing for years?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What was a point in the show for you, Dylan, where your hype, where you hated it?
It's a series I don't really like now, but Series 9 just did not work for me at all.
Okay.
The only episode I remember enjoying was, there was two. So it was the Under the Lake Before the Flood 2-parter.
Interesting.
I really like that. Then I obviously Heaven Sent, like, even at the age of like 14, I think I was 14, 15. Like, I just knew that was a really good episode. But apart from that, like, I really don't like that series, and it just didn't work for me at the time.
Oh, Face the Raven!
No, it's so shit.
Oh my god, so good.
Like,
Face the Raven's great. I love that episode.
What a setup for Heaven Sent. Oh, so
best
good.
cliffhanger in Doctor Who, I reckon.
So good.
I love it.
I think it's. I thought
I just remember watching it there.
It was like, was it all 2 parts?
I don't know. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
like,
fair enough. Again, I was kind of saying
Yeah.
that. Again, that is the kind of season when I was just like, I was like, Heaven Sent's probably the only standout. Like, Aiden and I were the only people in our friend group keeping up with it. Like, I remember all the boys used to like keep up with it, and then it just came me and Aiden. It was a depressing time. Like, it just was a bit sad.
Yeah,
everyone just stopped watching.
But I even remember, like I said, my theory of me hating every season. Like, I remember watching Series 9 and being like, this ain't all that jazz, is it? Like, but now I do quite like it. I think mainly because I like Peter and Jenna a lot. But yeah, and it's so fun. Like, it really is a lot of fun. Peter's whole era. I don't know.
I also think it's because I was 15. I was doing the same thing that Aiden was doing, where I was more into like The Walking Dead and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like my focus at that time was not really Doctor Who. I was into like music and watching new films and stuff like that. Like, I just was not caring about the show.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Wow.
Sad. I hope it reboots my love for it.
Just to, I guess just to wrap up my thoughts before we move on to Night Terrors. I'm excited for everything, to be honest, with the show now. Like, they've announced it's 6 episodes, not 8 episodes for Series 13. And I think that's great for like a one story thing. It means there's really going to be no filler. Like, there surely hasn't got to be any filler in that.
That's a good point.
And then, 2 normal specials. By the looks of some set picks, it's going to be, one of them might be like the 3rd Dalek trilogy, so maybe that's going to be a New Year's Day special. That might be the first special, which excites me. Don't know what the second special is going to be, and then the third one being the 100th anniversary of the BBC special. And they said it's going to be like a big feature-length event. So for me, I'm like, make that kind of like what the 60th should have been, Bring back old doctors for it, because that's like what the history of the BBC is. And then maybe even do something experimental with season 14 and start it on the 60th or something like that. And the 60th can just be like kind of a normal episode. It's got to be exciting, maybe a returning villain or something like that, but maybe use the 60th to kickstart a new era of the show. I don't know.
I wonder if they're going to have... because I haven't released a writers list yet. I wonder if there's going to be a couple of writers doing like maybe episode 2, 3, 4, and 5 and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe co-written by Chibnall. Like, I know he likes to do that for like episodes 2 and stuff. Like, I'd be interested. If anyone will come back. The
lady that wrote The Haunting of Villa Diodati, I think that's what it's called.
Isn't she a co-writer?
Yes. So I think she's been upgraded to a higher position on Series 13, which is great because I love that episode.
Do you think she'll take over?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, maybe. And I think that would be a good shout. Like, I'm hoping this has got to be a thing, right? Surely the BBC isn't going to hire another middle-aged white man as showrunner. Surely.
Oh, yeah, if they do, it'll be horrendous. I don't know why they would do that.
I really do think they're going to learn from, the reception. And we've said that heaps.
I
Why the
don't
hell
think we
isn't it
need a
just movie?
showrunner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
What do you
don't
say, Dylan?
think we need a showrunner. I don't think we need a showrunner.
Oh,
Or
really?
like,
What?
I think I think we need like a writer's room. I think we need what Chibnall was trying to do in series 11, a bit of series 12. I think they need to get some of the best writers that they have, some of the best people who love Doctor Who, to collaborate together. So you get all, and like rather than one person's singular vision, because
I
Chris
believe
Chibnall was in love.
I believe they do have a writer's room. That's how most like every TV show I know has a writer's room,
Right.
and then it's sort of like one person is kind of in charge of just putting the ideas together, but it is very
Right,
much like
okay.
a room working on it.
Because it feels like with Russell and Moffat's eras, like Russell's era has its soap opera-esque like style, but it doesn't it doesn't feel like he's, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. It's like Chris Chibnall, it feels Chris Chibnall, like every episode feels like it's going in this one direction. It's the same sort of style, whereas in Russell T Davies' era and Moffat's era, you get different variations of what their version of Doctor Who is.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
I don't think we need another head who's going to be like, right, I want to do this that links back to the 70s, or I want to do this that does this. Like,
I think
just have fun. It's Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think you still need someone to sort of lead that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. What an exciting time for Doctor Who. What an intellectual conversation. That wasn't the usual witty banter. That was like serious talk about Doctor Who. It's the future.
Well, this is how literally everyone could get along. Like, not everyone's gonna have the same opinion. Like, we can all just get along. Like, I feel like
Fight me.
brought up the worst in Doctor Who fans over the last couple of years. Like, I feel like you can't even have a conversation on Twitter anymore. There's always gonna be someone who hates your opinion and has to say it. It's like,
It's because you hate women, though,
awful.
Connor. Because you don't like Jodie.
you got me. I do like Jodie. Fuck you.
Good chow. Night terrors, baby. Wow.
Oh, Night Terrors.
That's so scary. Whoa, I just scared myself.
Bruh.
Yeah, so Dylan, why did you want to come back for this episode?
I was literally about to ask that.
Um,
I love this question. I love asking people why they choose the episodes they come on.
Why did I want to come back for this episode? 2 reasons. Number one, I just loved being on The Curse of the Black Spot and was like, I don't want to wait until A Town Called Mercy to come back on, so I'll ask if I can come back on later in the series. And number 2, I have always liked this episode. It's not great, it's not perfect, but I've always enjoyed it, and I thought, why not come on to talk about it?
You just love Mark Gaddis.
Damn.
That's what you're going to say. Just love Marky.
Yes.
No, because
I love Mycroft.
Yeah, we love microphones, of course.
I know Connor kind of likes this episode, so I feel like I'm going to have a bit of a
really did
scrap
like it
with you guys
rewatching it.
tonight.
I've really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I hadn't watched it in years, so I was pleasantly surprised. 50% podcast.
Night Terrors is the 9th episode of the 6th series of the British science fiction television series Doctor Who, and was first broadcast on BBC One and BBC America on the 3rd of April 2011. It was written by Mark Gatiss and directed by Richard Clarke. Richard Clarke, I believe, directed The
Gridlock.
Doctor's Wife, Gridlock, and I want to say The Lazarus Experiment from memory.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. In the episode, alien time traveler the Doctor, Matt Smith, and his companions Amy Pond, Karen Gillan, and Rory Alpha Darville decide to make a house call to an 8-year-old boy named George, Jamie Oram, who is terrified of almost everything, sounds like Connor, and especially dreads the cupboard in his bedroom. While the Doctor discusses this with George's father, Alex, Daniel Mays, Amy and Rory become trapped in a dollhouse with terrifying life-sized peg dolls.
They are
Wowee. What an episode. Only in Doctor Who.
Can I just say quickly, did this episode give you like mad like Power State vibes? You know, because like, you know, where like Rose lived? Am I the only
Yeah,
thought
I
that?
feel like the Power State is a bit more
I see
homely.
it.
This was a bit spookier.
It's a bit weird though, because like my girlfriend's just started season 1 and she just finished Dalek, and like it's so weird because like it's kind of like a bad episode to show her, because she must think that like you see these kind of locations in like every episode. We haven't gone to a place like that in ages. So I remember when I first watched it, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool to be back in like a what's it called, like a council estate almost, like yeah. So I think that was cool. But to her, she probably just thinks it's in every episode. But it'd been a while for those viewers who hadn't had to be like keeping up with the show and stuff. But should we just jump straight into it?
Let's go, baby.
Let's just jump straight into it. All right. So we start in the Power State ripoff, as Aiden loves that I call that, and we're gonna see some spooky shots, baby. Some spooky shots, and it does look spooky. It looks very spooky indeed. Then we're gonna see a little child in bed. Mom's saying goodnight to him. You can see that he's very scared. Getting flashbacks to when I've always been like a nervous sleeper, so this was taking me back to my days. And you're gonna see they're outside, talking about the child. They're like, what we're gonna do? Won't go to sleep. Scared of everything. And it says, "Please save me from the monsters." And then it connects to the TARDIS. Somehow, I don't know how, but they're kind of like, it was so powerful that it connected to the TARDIS. I guess that makes sense to the psychic paper. And then Doctor's like, I haven't done this in a while. We're going to do a house call. It doesn't really make sense, but hey, I like it.
And I hated the editing. I thought the editing was naff.
How dare you?
The VFX shot going through the stars looked bad, which, sure, that's fine. But what I did like a lot was, I don't know, this yellow tinge that the majority of this episode has. I really liked that as like a vibe. Like it was
spooky.
Like really off-putting. Like all the whites were slightly yellow, and it kind of had this gross, gritty feel to it. Did you like the opening, Dylan?
Sorry, I was going to say, Dylan. Did you want to say?
Yeah, no, sorry, I was just listening to you guys.
That's right.
Yeah, the opening, like the pre-credit sequence, I think is probably like some of the best parts of this episode. It's very atmospheric. It sets up all these characters and sets up the estate really well. And then they just sort of cut to the TARDIS, and like Aiden said, the space shot is a bit shit. And Matt Smith, I hate to say it, guys, but he's really started to get on my nerves. Like, I think he's quite good in the rest of this episode, but just in that little sequence in the TARDIS, I don't know what it is about TARDIS scenes, and me being on this podcast and me not liking them, but the scene in the TARDIS was just a bit like, okay, we're doing 11-year-old Matt Smith again.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't really going to even bring this up because I didn't really think about it until you said that, but I agree. There were times in this episode where like that annoyed me, and I don't think it was the script, because in my opinion this is thus far, and probably I'll probably stand by this even though we're going to watch a couple more Mark episodes, but I think this is Mark's best writing, in my opinion. I think this was his best script. And so I don't think it was that. There were some really cool lines in there, and I thought it was actually really well written. I think it had a lot of heart behind it, but I don't know. Matt was really annoying me in this episode. Like, I don't know why. Like, not in every scene, but I get what you mean. Like, he was bugging me a little bit.
Two things on performances. The first is with the kid, and it's hard to judge because I know he's not meant to. They're like, we tell him off and he doesn't care, so he's kind of meant to be emotionless. But don't you think it's maybe not that it's emotionless, and it's maybe that the young kid isn't the best child actor out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I just feel terrible saying it. Poor thing.
No, I know, because it's tough gig.
Always say
hard
don't
for child actors to really
children.
stick the landing.
Yeah.
And the other thing, performance basis. Yeah, I agree. I didn't really like Matt in this episode. There's a couple of scenes that he was alright in, but in particular, one scene, it's toward the end, but I'll go there now anyways. When they're in the dollhouse and he's like, screaming. He's like, "Come on, George, fix this," or whatever. Yeah. It just felt like very much like, "George, the power is all in your hands. George, you've got to do it. You've got to." It felt like so many moments we've seen of Matt before that it felt so rinse and repeat for me with him now. Like, it felt exactly like when he grabbed Avery on the black spot and he's like, "What is wrong with you, man? You've done that." It felt like, moments. Oh, he literally sounds like in the Pandorica. There's one line that is exactly the same as when he's been put into the Pandorica. What is it?
Every supernova.
Every last day.
I literally thought.
I think he's like, listen to me, and he literally performs it exactly the same.
I
in Night
literally
Terrors.
caught on that exact same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. Look, that ending. Also, we'll get there. That ending alone is really bad. But I feel like someone like David, like, I love Matt Smith. I think he's fantastic. And again, I think like maybe he was just having an off day, like we all have. But I've always said this about David. No matter how shit the script was, David always was just like so fucking good. Like he would always feel switched on. You know. That's okay.
I think
like,
that's the issue. Like, I think that's the issue with the 11th Doctor is that he's way too like zany and out there and just like, I know he's the twee Doctor. He's the what's the word that people like, the raggedy Doctor. You know, he's all over the place.
He's loosey goosey.
Loosey goosey.
Yeah, but it's too much sometimes to the point where it's just kind of stupid and ridiculous.
Gives you a bit of a headache.
Whereas, David never had that. You know, David kept his more human, down to earth nature, and then had moments of that zaniness, had moments of that anger. You know, it works really well. Whereas, you know, Matt Smith's Doctor is a cartoon character.
I here's the thing though, like I really liked Raw in the episode, and I love Daniel Mays in this. I think Daniel Mays did really, really well. I think that I really like him as an actor, and I remember.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, because I just watched him in season 3 of. He's only in season 3 of Ashes to Ashes, but I just watched him in that, and then he was in Doctor Who, so I was really excited, and I think he did really well. Again, like I said, sorry.
He's great in Line of Duty season 3. He's really great in.
I've
and also his little cameo in Rogue
so I've
One.
seen it in the background. I did see him in that, and he did seem really good in it, despite me not having any context of what was going on. But yeah, I have seen him in that as well. He's in Rogue One briefly as well.
Have you guys seen? Have you guys seen Des?
Yeah.
Seen Des?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course. He's great in Des.
He's in that.
Yes.
He's really good in that as well.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it was really good to see him. I like how they split up and they had that funny scene where they all go and knock on different people's doors. It sets up the landlord, which I think was good. Like I appreciate like they had a scene before, so it didn't just go straight into him later on knocking on Alex's door and being like, "Yo, where's the rent?" and stuff. Even though we have that horrible scene later on, which is my least favorite scene in the whole episode, where the fucking, for some reason, the floor starts to fucking, it's so bad.
Bernard,
So bad.
I couldn't help but laugh, but I was trying to hold it in.
I was reading up on how they did it, and apparently it sounds like a dumb concept. Anyways, like no wonder it looks shit. So instead of using a green screen, they used green water and had him step into green water.
Oh,
and I'm like, it looked so bad.
It looked awful.
Bernard.
Bernard. It literally reminded me of something you'd see in like CGI you'd see in like season 1.
Literally.
Yeah, it was pretty crap.
But no, I like that scene. And then but yeah, like I think to me like the scenes where like Matt was going in and the Doctor was going in to see like Alex and stuff, like if it wasn't really for like Daniel Mays and stuff, like he for me kept the scenes really interesting. Again, like I'm not trying to fault Max. I really do like him, and I've never really had anything bad to say about a Doctor yet. But I agree, like he was just really annoying, and like all the scenes with him and George, apart from the one scene where he like I really like the scene where he's still next to all the toys. Like it seems like a really nice thing the Doctor would do.
Yeah, that is really.
Yeah, I think that's really sweet, and I really thought that was a lovely scene. But like, yeah, you're right. It does. He almost felt like a fly this episode that's just like buzzing around, isn't leaving you alone. You're just like, you know, like fuck off. Like it's kind of annoying. Very, very bouncy. Very, very like it was all over the place episode, and it was kind of off-putting and just not very enjoyable. Again, I think Daniel Mays already saved the scenes for me in those in the.
I think he was really good, but I think it just comes down to the setting just being kind of boring, and I like the concept of maybe. Just a episode based in a flat, sure. But like you've got to do things to make it interesting, and I think for me what failed was it. I don't think, other than the production design, I don't think it was that successful in being scary. And I hate to point fingers at my boy, but I don't think Murray did a a lot of good this episode.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of times I think where the score was like overbearing, and took away from the tension of the scenes.
I mean, isn't that just every episode of Murray's score?
It is. But I think like, you know, if it's like a fun action bombastic episode, like 90% of the episodes are, it is like you can get away with it. But in these episodes where should be more centered around tension, the soundtrack should. I feel like Sigourney Akinola would maybe have been a bit more fitting to score this episode.
Bruh.
You know what I mean?
I did hear
way more atmospheric.
This episode.
Sorry, I did hear that I don't know why. For some reason, I kept reading up on this episode, but like, I heard that in the edit, Moffat was like, add more score and add the children giggling and stuff, because apparently that wasn't originally in the script. He was like, make it more atmospheric and like make it more scary. So I think that might explain that a little bit. But yeah, I get what you mean. Sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. This episode, speaking of, Sagan Akinola, this episode feels like it would have been something that we would have got in series 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Like it feels like
I got that vibe.
a Jodie style episode.
I got that vibe.
Yeah.
Especially with them splitting up and stuff.
Yeah, it's a very Chibber's thing.
Yeah,
and the other thing with the score was a lot of it. There wasn't a lot of original score in the episode. It was a lot of like reprised stuff. There was some stuff from
I noticed that.
I think The Big Bang that was used in there, things like that. Didn't really add much to the table.
So Amy and Rory go into the elevator and they fall down, which I thought was a really cool scene. It reminds me of that theme park ride at Disney that I went on once.
The Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. That fucking was, oh god,
classic.
Made my stomach turn. An old lady gets taken in the dustbins, which I heard was one of Mark Gallis's fears when he was a kid, was all the dustbins and stuff. Which I thought, I like how he's like taken, like Moffat does, like taken from his childhood and like, even though it's dumb, but and it's.
Do you think Mark Gallis was scared of carpets?
Yeah.
It's like Moffat was scared of like statues and shadows, and
he's scared of Robert.
But then Gatiss is like, bins.
Oh,
not the bin bags.
Oh, my scripts. Oh Lord, Dracula. But I love all the scenes in the dollhouse. I think it's cool. It's creepy. It's like, I like when Doctor Who like pushes the the boundaries. I was again.
What boundaries? What does it push?
Because
other than my buttons.
People got genuinely scared by this episode, and I think we were a bit too old. But if this episode came out when I was a kid, I would have been fucking terrified.
I think it like relies too much on like little child laughing. That's scary.
It's so corny. Like
I agree, but I love it.
Sugma.
I fucking love that. I was rubbing my hands together give me more. I love it. I agree. But that was Moffat. He literally came in and said, add more children laughing and creepy score because it ain't scary enough. It literally got pulled from part 1 of season 6 because it was too scary, apparently.
Ooh, whatever. I don't think it was scary at all. I think it kind of failed at being creepy, other than maybe the transition into the doll stuff was like kind of a little bit creepy. I don't know. But one thing I do like,
Aiden the hater.
That's me. One thing I did like was that this episode, like the Amy and Rory stuff at the start of the episode, with them first exploring the dollhouse, really, and you guys are going to not be able to relate to this, really reminded me of this Big Finish audio, The Chimes of Midnight. And it really, the first like act of this like 2-hour Big Finish is just like the Doctor and his companion Charlie, it's Paul McGann as the Doctor, just exploring this house, and it's all to do with like time, and they're sort of seeing different things of time happening, but they are going through like room to room, and sort of like a mystery is forming, and it's a bloody great sort of mystery audio, and I really liked. I feel like there was maybe even some inspiration from that Gatiss took from that, because it does feel very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you guys like this? I mean, I feel like the scenes in the apartment definitely drag on too much. Could have been.
Yeah, I think it's
just a bit.
I think.
I don't know. It is a little bit like, even Rory says it is a little bit EastEnders.
Yeah,
like,
EastEnders. That made me laugh. Yeah.
And not in the Russell T Davies way, but just in a. It's just kind of boring to watch. Like.
Yeah, I think
the kid can't really act.
Yeah.
What did you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah. What did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit.
Yeah, sorry. It just drags a bit on, and when the kid can't act, it just drags a lot longer. You know.
I think the reveal. I do like the idea of like. I think it was cool. Like it was looking through the pictures, but everything was happening. Like, you know, the scene was looking through pictures, and they go out of the room, they go back in, and the guy comes to get rent, and then it's just a doctor in the room. They come back out again, and they're looking at pictures again, and then they run out and get the picture album again. It's like everything's kind of just happening. Like it's like keeps happening. And but I did like the reveal about how his wife or girlfriend couldn't have kids. I think that was interesting, and it was a cool twist. But overall, bit of a weird idea. Like, for some reason, these entities like choose families, and how many times is Doctor Who going to be like, it was a perception filter? It's like, that's such a lazy way of writing yourself out of the problem.
I feel like I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but the kid is clear. Like, the kid is very much like an allegory for autism, right? He's that's what I took from it. Like, he is a kid with autism that they just made into an alien.
Is he?
I didn't pick that up as something that they were doing. Elaborate.
I mean, he's got like, you know, all of the traits of like a routine. He needs things done in a certain way.
Oh, that's interesting, because, yeah, true. Because I said to Kim, that's OCD with the whole, like, I've heard people...
Yeah.
OCD,
OCD, autism, like...
I do that with a light switch.
Like, and I think it's... Obviously, it's Doctor Who, so you can't just have him be, like, a kid, but I don't know, like, I don't know how I feel about him, like, Mark Gatiss turning around and being like, oh, he's an alien from another world, and that's why he's the way he is, like... Did there have to be that twist? Why couldn't it have just been like he's not going to change? Because at the end of the episode, I know I'm rushing into it, but at the end of the episode, he's just normal. Like, he's just, well, not normal. He's just like, you know, quote unquote fixed. Like, he's better now. You know, you don't have to do all this stuff. Whereas I feel like if they had wrote it so that maybe the cupboard was actually something alien, or was manifest. There was something in the cupboard manifesting this boy's fears.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with a message of like, look, we've got rid of the things in the cupboard, but you can't get rid of the way that your child is. Like, your child is not going to miraculously change overnight. I just think it's a bit of a weird message to send.
No, that's a really great idea though, Dylan. Yeah. And I think maybe even making it, you know, you could get what's he called? Alex, the Daniel Mays, you could get him having that exact character journey, and for George, it could be something of him sort of feeling comfortable in his self, you know, like he could think he's weird. Maybe what could have been cool is they'd have to change the plot around a lot to make this work, but almost reverse the twist and have it so like the whole way through the episode you think George is an alien or some. No, maybe that gets a bit fucked up. Maybe that's a bit more fucked up though, because then you're comparing aliens to autism.
Yeah,
maybe that's not great. But I don't know.
If done right, it could work.
Yeah, maybe there is something there, and it's him coming to terms with how he is, and sort of realizing that, you know, he's no different to anyone else, and his quirks, and that's what makes him him.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time that like Gatiss has done something like this. I mentioned this episode the last time I was on the podcast, but in the Idiot's Lantern, the dad is a massive dick. Like, he's a horrible person in that episode.
Yeah.
Like, he is absolutely awful, and yet at the end of he literally hits his wife, abuses his kids, and then at the end of the episode, the Doctor and Rose are like, go after him, he needs help. He's a horrible person. Like, I don't understand. I get it's supposed to be like, oh, you know, it's Doctor Who, it's supposed to be like everything's happy in the end, but sometimes in life, but these things just don't happen, and I think you know, they could have reflected that more in the episode.
Yeah, it really is one of those things where with Doctor Who, it's like, obviously it's primarily a kids show, a family show, whatever. But a large audience of it is kids, and you've just got to be careful of the messages you're putting out there, because that stuff can drastically influence young people.
That's another issue that I have with this at the end of the episode, is like, there were definitely kids, like Connor said, who Connor said he was a nervous sleeper as a child. Like, there were definitely kids who were watching this episode and had the same sort of traits, flicking the lights on and off, having the same routine and stuff. And then when the episode ends and the kid is just fine, imagine being a kid like, oh yeah, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to be all right, or I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be okay. Like, it just feels a bit weird
his
to me.
His mum's like, yeah, it's like all fixed, and she's like, "What? Just like that?" And he's like, "Yep, just like that." And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah,
like,
that was bad.
Therapy
that was
is
so
literally,
bad. That was like a
if you want to go therapy,
wink at the
like,
camera.
get help. Yeah, it's years of like working on yourself and acceptance and all that. And I mean, it reminds me literally what 2 episodes? No, 2 episodes time we got Closing Time, and that ends with Love Conquers All. Like, there's this theme in Moffat's era, especially.
James Corden.
Where, like, James Corden, Love Conquers All, James Conquers All. Nah, to be fair, this time around, I'm not going to make any more mean James Corden jokes. I felt so bad about my jokes on the last time that we did a James Corden episode, so they're going to be definitely dulled down the next time when we review Closing Time. But that's in 2 episodes' time. It's Love Conquers All. And, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about, really. I mean, I do like the scene where they go into the cupboard. I saw in Confidential they had the the straps, like, around their chest and they were getting pulled in, which I thought was a cool practical thing to do, even if it did look a bit funny sometimes. I feel like they covered a lot of it with, like, lights flashing and, like, a bit of shaky cam to kind of make it look better than it probably was. But the scenes in the dollhouse of Amy and Rory for me were the highlights of the episode, and I liked their chemistry. I always like them having scenes together, and I'm really loving Rory's character so much more this season. I feel like Amy's character kind of is, despite having the whole like Demons Run storyline, I feel like her character's kind of taking a bit of a backseat, and I like how Rory is.
Yeah, not much of an arc.
Yeah, despite her having all the Demons Run stuff, you'd think that she'd have like a lot of emotional depth behind this storyline. But yeah, the transition scenes were creepy, and that really did scare me as a kid. But when Amy changes, like when they do it to the main companion, unless it's like a season final or something, you're like, this isn't gonna mean anything to the episode, like emotion wise, like. It's like even when the doctor finds out, it's like Rory, where's Amy? And he's like, and she's like, and it's like that's it. It's like what the fuck? Like this is your like.
I was gonna say that with Let's Kill Hitler, how the whole episode the doctor's dying, and it's like, come on, mate, it's the season premiere. He's not gonna freaking die here, mate.
Shit, yeah, dumb.
They even in the episode when Amy and Rory first arrive in the dollhouse, Rory even says, "Are we dead again?" Like they know that we know that these characters aren't actually dead. Like
it's
just a bit weird. I've never understood it.
Nah, there was like I think quite a few neat moments of direction though this episode. Some cool shots in there, mainly towards the start. I didn't really pick up anything on the last half, but like the first half, the way they cut that whole sequence of all the knocking on the doors. That was fun. Definitely went too long. They should have shaved the last 10 seconds off of that, I think.
Right.
Just slightly overstayed its welcome with the humour, I think. There was one of those things where I think Mark was like writing and he's like, fuck, that's funny. Oh, let's keep going. That's so funny, but like...
Is it funny though? Like...
I think it was... I don't know if it was like necessarily funny, but I think it was fun. Like
no, it was fun, but
minus the knees.
I don't know, because I was watching it and I was like, all 3 of the people that they meet whilst knocking on the doors are like just quite rude and annoying people. And like, I don't know, it's such a typical like, rich man writing council estate characters to do. Like,
right,
that's like the people that like, because I live on a council estate and like. There's just regular people. Like, sure, you get some people that are like a bit moody and whatnot, but you know, the first 3 people they knock on and they're all like, "Oh, get out of my face! What do you like? What? They're like caricatures, you know."
That's funny. Jeez. I get that.
And then I think there was some cool shots. Like there's a nice shot. I wish they used it more, or like at least for like stayed on it a bit longer. But there's a really nice... It's like a straight-on shot of the council estate. It's very wide.
The episode's so good. That
really nice.
shot is really good.
That's
Yeah.
how they got that. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
I liked as well,
And then-
direction-wise, like... I'll go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there was one more shot as well. What was it? I don't remember it
It's got
now.
fat
You
deja
say
vu
what
for
your
some
thing was,
reason.
and I'll think about it.
For me, it was just like, I do like and it's very cliche, but I did like sometimes where like characters would move out the shot and you'd see something move in the background. There was one particular one where I really liked where like the doll was standing in the background, like in shot, but the Doctor and Alex hadn't seen it yet, and then when they walk away, like it's in the mirror facing them. I thought that was cool from like a horror aspect.
I remember the shot I was thinking of is when Amy and Rory, they first go into the dollhouse, excuse me, and there was, the way they lit it was just through 2 glass pane windows, and that's the motivation for the lighting for the whole scene, and the way that those windows perfectly sort of match up with where they've blocked the characters to be. I just thought it was aesthetically pleasing, maybe a little coincidental, but it was good to look at, I think.
Yeah, I think the ending, as we already touched on, I think it's pants, it's rushed. It's like it was in you the whole time. Face your fears, and now it was like, and then it was like once what's his fucking name? What's the kid called again? George had to like face his fears, and it was like, now it's like, and now Alex, you have to respect the fact that who you thought your son was now needs you, and. He's like, character changes so quickly. It's like, oh, but he's not my son. How can he be? And he's like, no, you're right. He is my son. And then runs down. And it's like, and I'll never leave you. And then this like bright light comes out, and it's like, love saves all again. Yay, yay.
I'm not a big fan of Love Saves All, but I do like the moment where Alex realizes, like, he doesn't say it. He just runs to George. I really do like that moment. I think it's a nice moment. But the fact that.
Like,
you know, he just starts knocking people out of the way.
knocking all the dolls out the way, they go flying.
But Love Conquers All is shit.
Yeah. It's so funny when they stab one of the dolls with the shit plastic scissors.
That was funny. I like that.
That was funny.
I like how they just grabbed the wooden chicken and stuff. That was fun, and like the pot and the pan, and like the like logistically, would that really, like, if you were small in a doll's house, would everything logistically, like, why there's a few doorknobs and stuff which doesn't make sense, like but hey, if you're really gonna go that nitpicky, like, I sound like fucking TARDIS Wiki right now, but
there's and then the very end of the episode, there's like a nice scene of Amy, Rory, and the Doc outside the council estate, and then you go back into the TARDIS, and once again we have the Doctor just staring at his death date.
How many times? It's so repetitive. It's like I said last week. If it's not Amy's pregnancy scanner, it's the Doctor's death fucking certificate.
It's just so forced.
It is
so forced
and tacked on.
So forced
because it was meant to be.
Doesn't have to be in every episode, you know.
It's meant to be in part 1. So
I've got
some
some stuff for you about that.
That's why the Doctor says in the flesh. I noticed. He's like, good to be back
just ruin the stuff I have to say.
I picked up
ruin
myself.
the segments.
I just picked up myself. I'm just that good, bro.
Who runs the segments here, Connor?
I just picked up on it myself because I'm that damn good, bro. I got my
I'm
eyes
a fake fan
peeled
because
when
I
I
had
watch
to use
episodes.
TARDIS Wiki for it.
Yeah, you need TARDIS Wiki anyway. You got me. I'm in there like swimwear, bro. That again. Final thing I guess we can talk about. Like, yeah, it's so like his mum walks in after her shift and everything's just like fine now, and they're like, oh yeah, all happy families, and just fixed like that. Apart from that, though, it's not like I don't like it. I thought it was really fun. I don't know why.
You really sound like you didn't find it that fun.
Yeah, now breaking it down doesn't sound that great, but I think I was just more pleasantly surprised than I was in the past. I think I respected it was creepy, in my opinion, but yeah.
I really tried to like it. I really tried to feel the fears. I watched it late last night at like 10 p.m, turned all the lights off.
I watched it.
Pitch black. Had a few beers to sort of loosen me up a little bit.
Get me feeling
like stuff a bit more. And I was loosey-goosey like Matt Smith, and I was just bored. I don't think there's anything massively wrong with the episode. I just think it's kind of boring.
Doesn't Tom McSomething do Girl Who Waited, and he wrote the Cybermen 2-part in season 2?
Tom McRae?
Yeah, Tom McRae. Doesn't he write Girl Who Waited? Because I remember that being
Yeah,
a
I think he does.
throwback of a writer.
Isn't it Whithouse? Tom Whithouse?
Nah,
no, it is Tom
Whitehouse's
McRae.
Core Complex.
That's
yeah,
right.
it's Tom McRae.
No shit,
Yeah.
because he did the Cybermen two-parter.
Yes,
I
he
remember
did.
In season 2. I remember that being such a throwback, so I was really excited for it, and I never liked it. But I think I will now that I'm older and not a whiny brat anymore. Well, I still am a whiny brat, but I'm a bit older. Just complaining about a children's TV show in my spare time.
He was gonna write for series 4 as well, but never did. It was a script that got cancelled because it was too similar to another script. The script was called Century House, which makes me think maybe it was too similar of a setting to lovely Gareth Roberts' Unicorn and the Wasp.
Right.
So
It was Century House was going to be a. Do you know the show Most Haunted?
no.
No.
So Most Haunted is like one of those like paranormal ghost hunting shows that comes
Right.
on like Watch or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard about this, yeah.
Yes, so it was going to be an episode where Donna was watching the Doctor on an episode of Most Haunted.
Oh, that's
Interesting.
kind of cool. That's kind of
Interesting.
cool. Yeah, fair enough. I'm
Dylan-
really interested to watch next week. So, yeah.
Dylan, do you have any last thoughts on this week's episode?
At the beginning of this episode, I said it was quite good, but looking back on it, like
Yeah.
now that we've spoken about it,
Yeah.
it's kind of It's a little bit forgettable. It's got really weird. It's got really weird morals, and it's not that scary. The best part of this episode is definitely Daniel Mays. Like
Yeah.
he's definitely the best part of the
I
entire
wish he
episode.
was in a better episode, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Totally.
me too.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like him, so... Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a shame.
fair.
I just still enjoyed it, but yeah, now talking about it, this happens so much. I swear, like, I like episodes and we talk about them and rate them down, and I'm like, bruh. Either way, I'll get all the.
Shall we move on to Australia's favourite segment?
Let's do it.
Yes.
It's time for Goof of the Week. Nice, guys. Good job. That was good
Thank
shit.
Thank you.
You guys have any goofs for this week?
No.
I did have one, but I forgot it. So if it comes back to me, then I'll let you know.
Story of my life.
I might hear it.
I had one. It's very minor and very picky, but there's like a little bit of continuity between the shots in that scene that I said was lovely lit when Amy and Rory first wake up in the dollhouse. Rory's got the torch, and it's really bright, and in the close-up, it really lights up Amy's face, and it's really, really bright on her face. Like, it almost looks like the torch is right underneath her face. But then when it cuts to the wide, there's literally zero light on her face, and she's pretty much in darkness. That's the only sort of... It's a small goof, but something I picked up on continuity-wise. There was also... and this is maybe a little bit dumb and overly filmy, and I don't mind when Doctor Who does stuff like this because they make it so quick and with such little budget and stuff. But there is a couple of scenes in this episode where I know they were going for super low light stuff, but it's really tricky lighting low light stuff because you still actually have to have light there, because if not, then the camera just picks up. It just looks like kind of distorted. And so there's a couple of scenes where certain elements of the shot you could tell were, if you really look, and you have to really fucking look for it. And don't ask me why after like 5 years I was looking at this shit. But there was like a couple of walls like off to the side where it was slightly distorted because you could tell it had been underexposed, and in the color grade they tried to bring it up a little bit. Right. So that was just a silly, very, 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 very minor thing that I don't even want to frickin' talk about, but I did talk about, so I'm dumb. So from TARDIS Wiki, there is 3 goofs here. One of which is that in that scene I was talking about with Rory and Karen, sorry, I should say Arthur and Karen, or Rory and Amy. Rory holding the torch. Apparently between shots it changes what hand he has the torch in. That might explain the light, because if it's in his left hand in Amy's close-up and it lights up her face more, then when it's in his right hand on the wide shot, there won't be as much light going onto her face, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how science works. There's a little blooper with the subtitles, a little goof with the subtitles, where, you know, when the doctor's like, you see these eyes, they're old eyes. The classic trailer line.
Yeah.
In the subtitles, apparently it says, you see these eyes, they're all lies. Whoa. Spooky.
Classic line.
Classic line. My eyes are all lies. And then apparently, you know, in that scene where they get pulled into the wardrobe and everything in George's room falls over?
Yep.
Apparently, like, immediately after there's a shot in there and everything's back to normal. That's it. That's all I've really got there on TARDIS Wiki. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Shall we do
Well,
Australia's second favourite segment?
Yes.
Ladies
yes.
and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Behind the Scenes!
I
Thanks,
just do
guys.
that. I just do the theme then. Like I did it last time. It was funny, so I just keep doing it. Behind the scenes.
Behind the Scenes, baby! Original titles for this episode. One was House Call, which I like. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And then another one was What Are Little Boys Made Of, which is just kind of weird.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange title.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a fan.
Not a fan, especially with Moffat's his weird horniness this season. So, like you guys, we touched on before, originally this was going to be episode 4 of series 6, but it was swapped around for reasons we've discussed before. Of the tone, it was too dark. Part 1 was too dark. So a scene with Madame Cavarium was cut out, and instead they shot that scene with the Doctor looking at the monitor.
Yes.
And like Connor said, it explains the line where he says, well, it's great to be back in the flesh, which I think would have been so cool, like, to sort of be like,
Yeah.
they said that. Maybe not so cool, but it's like a cool, kind of cool. I don't know. Little line.
Yeah.
This is actually Mark Gaddis's first non-historical episode of Who.
Ooh.
Wow, isn't that crazy? What did
The more
he
you
write
know.
last season? Yeah, all of his stuff has been completely...
Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, Victory, and
Which
then...
is World War II. Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah. And then Idiot's Lantern. Did he do anything in season 1?
Yeah, he
I'm
wrote
Quite
The
Dead.
Unquiet Dead.
I'm quite dead.
Oh, yeah, obviously historical, yeah. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
And
doesn't
he
do
sticks
one
with
in season
historicals,
2.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because series 7, he does...
Crimson Horror.
Crimson Horror,
Yeah.
and he does one more, doesn't he?
Sleep
Cold War,
Cold
which is
War.
also historical.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and
No
then...
More.
No, yeah.
No,
but what about Series
right.
8? What does he...
What was
does he
Series
write in
8?
se-
Wait, was season 8?
Robot of Sherwood.
Robert Sherwood.
Yeah,
That's
historical.
It. Oh, Christ. And then he
And then
does
Series
Sleep
9, Sleep No More.
And then,
And then
Empress
series
of Mars.
10 was Empress on Mars, which is like got historical elements to it. Or is it actually fully set in the past? I don't know.
No, I think it is set in the past because it's got
hard
the
to say,
the soldiers.
Yeah, I've never understood why they're on the moon. We'll get there in a few years. Sorry, on Mars. And last little fact was this was actually the first episode of Series 6 to be filmed. There you go.
Hey. So,
Interesting.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about these days, is it? Not a lot with this episode. Speaking of not a lot, it's time for Australia's third favourite segment, Just Twitter Dings.
Bring in the clowns.
Yeah,
Bring
baby.
in the clown.
Every time I say that, I love. Yeah, that was really funny when you mentioned that last time. Time to bring in the clowns. Yeah, so not much to say this week or from people online either. I think people don't really care a lot of the time when it's episodes they don't really care about. They either, I think, other than you, Dylan, who you're consistently on it every week, but a lot of people they only comment if they really hate an episode or if they really love an episode. This one, I think it's so boring that you don't really get much. We got a winky face from Dylan, to which the official 50% Doctor Who podcast said cheeky, then Connor said cheeky, then I said cheeky. It was a cute little chain of events there. And then the Now That's What I Call Comedy podcast, Jacob Hines, Richard Hides, Jacob, every time.
Jacob.
Every time.
Oh my god.
Poor
Every
Richard
fucking
Hines. It's a compilation at this point.
Yeah, I know, right? God, I need a counter. Someone, please go back and count how many times I've done that.
Count.
Yeah, he just gave a little small, silly little review here. I'm sure he's given you a proper one over on Instaconnor. He said, "Kids are bad, especially those who are aliens with the power of gods." Thanks, mate.
Well, he actually sent me on here. Night Terror's review. The episode is good. Probably Gaz's best episode. The dolls were creepy. The dolls are creepy. Doctor Who is always at its best when it's a horror show. The kids being the god-like alien is a good twist, 7 out of 10. Since Dylan is on the show and the announcement that Chibnall is leaving the show's question of the week is here. What would you do as showrunner with the 14th Doctor and let the people decide if it's Aidan or Dylan for showrunner? So for that last question, I will chuck a poll on Instagram in the next couple of days, and I will reveal on the next episode who will be the next showrunner. But as we've kind of already said, I think as for the showrunner next season, I really just hope, I hope it's a woman. I hope if they're going down that path of having another female Doctor, I hope it's a woman. I hope they just do what's best for the show, and we all get back to enjoying it as much as we have in the past.
Yeah, what I would do is I'd fire myself and hire a woman. That's what I would do. A woman or a person of colour. That's my grand plan.
That's respectful.
Well, I was actually going to give like a proper pitch for my era of Doctor Who, but now Aidan's just said something really nice. What am I supposed to say?
Now you're a dick, Dylan. No,
Jeez,
okay.
Dylan,
all right, let's say there's been 3 showrunners. We've had a woman and 2 people of colour or something, and now we've just been hired. Oh my god, crazy. Now it's a bit more acceptable.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want to go
first?
first?
Yeah, okay. So what I would do, I've got a grand plan out there. So much of what I would do though would be dependent on what has recently happened in the show, because you don't want to be treading similar ground. In terms of the look, I'd fuck off the anamorphic lenses they're using, where how the show looks all compressed in the background and stuff now.
Yeah,
not a fan of that.
I'm exactly the same.
Looks too crime drama. That stuff's great for Line of Duty and things like that. But for Doctor Who, I like to see the world. I like to see it. Bring back just standard, give us 4K, but just not anamorphic. Thanks. In terms of storylines, I think the biggest thing that I would pitch would be having a 4-series arc. That would lead into sort of maybe an anniversary, and it would all climax there. And every series, I think I've said before, every series would have an episode that's maybe a special episode. Ideas that I would throw out there is, an episode that's shot and is exactly the vibe of 80s Who. I think a horror episode in a haunted mansion, actually in black and white with some artificial film grain on there. An episode that's maybe all done in one shot, like a ship crashing, and you see it all happen in real time or something like that. And the other one I was thinking of is a film noir episode with either the Doctor doing a voiceover or a side character doing a voiceover, but it's kind of corny but also kind of cool, and it's a detective story in that way. And I think I've said on here before, one of the series, the way it works with the plot of the main first 4 series arc that I have, is that time gets fucked up, and there's a whole series that's based off of alternate history, and every episode's a new alternate history, and sometimes they can go wacky and go alternate histories of the future, or alternate futures, I guess would be the word there. Yeah. Oh, and also over the 8 series, it's all about the Doctor's declining mental health and how he has to come to terms with running away from his problems and going on adventures. Isn't the best way to deal with your problems. That's sort of the main full character arc that I would do in 8 seasons. There you go. Dylan, what would be your pitch as showrunner?
Okay, so this is something that I think about quite a lot. I want to do 3 seasons, 1 Doctor. My first series, we'd be introduced to a companion from the past, maybe from the 80s or 90s in episode 1, and then by episode 4 or 5 we're introduced to another companion who is from the future, so you get the contrast of someone from the past, someone from the future, just to shake it up a bit and have something a little bit different to what we've now got. I like the idea of my first episode in my first series linking up to my last episode of my last series. Like, I like the idea of the villain of the first episode actually being something that was in the last episode, but you don't know it until you get to that point, and then when you rewatch it, it's like a good like time loop sort of thing. And another thing I'd really like to do is have a dual narrative in terms of, so you have the Doctor and the companions and their adventures, but every so often we will cut to a different character that we have no idea who they are, but we keep seeing them, and then by the end of the first series it links up and we find out who this character is, and then that character would, you know, either become a villain or would join the TARDIS team. Apart from that, I also would like to do the sort of like more interesting, unique episodes. I've always liked the idea of like a silent episode.
Oh, so have I. Yeah.
Where people can't talk. I love that idea. I'm not against it. I just don't know how to do it without it being like corny. I like the idea of a musical episode of Doctor Who, but I just think it has to be done in like the right way for it to work.
See, I love musicals, but I don't want Doctor Who to go there unless it's like a special episode that's not in a series.
Well, yeah,
it's kind of made just to be fun.
I would probably say like that would be good for like a Christmas special perhaps, or something like that. Like, you know, nothing. You know what I mean? And then what else would I do for the show? I've sort of gone blank. I would love to do a film that links into my series. I said this when you guys were reviewing The Lodger, when I was talking about my 60th pitch. I would love to do a Doctor Who film that explores the idea of alternate Doctors. So you could get like Hugh Grant to come back, who was going to play the 9th Doctor. Maybe get people who, like Russell Tovey, who was going to be the 11th Doctor. You know, people who have nearly been the Doctor, or people have been like, you could have like Chris Marshall as a cameo as a Doctor. You know, because he's like always a favourite for some weird reason. Yeah, that's sort of what I do with the show, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you should say that about the silent episode, because I've thought about that a lot as well. And I think like it'd be cool to have them like maybe go to a planet where maybe it's like their religious belief, or maybe people are just incapable of talking, or something from this, like that's how the species is, or something. Yeah, and because as a filmmaker, that's such like a glorious challenge to then be like, how do we convey this entire story without using words? And you can have so much fun visually, really and sound.
Interesting episode.
The score would be such a massive component. There's that BoJack Horseman episode, which I think is a great example.
So good. It's such a good episode.
Yeah,
fish out of water.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you know, like I'm literally, because I'm watching Sopranos right now, and I'm like knee deep in it, and I'm loving it. I'm on like season 4, and like they have similar to BoJack, they have episodes like every season where like it's a bit different. Like and I won't go into massive details because I really do want you guys to watch this show at some point. But for example, like the season 2 final is the main character Tony gets food poisoning, and he has like heaps of fever dreams, and like it's like a season final. I love how ambitious it was. It was a season final. It was so different, and I love that. And like I watched one in season 3. It was the third last episode of season 3, and it was actually directed by Steve Buscemi, which is pretty funny, because he directed 3 episodes. It was his first episode to direct, and like most of the episode is just 2 characters lost in Pine Barrens, like just in like the woods. It's like just 2 characters that you've known for like a lot of like episodes, just lost in the woods, and it's like the writing is just so fun, and like I love when shows like take risks like that and just have a bit of fun. And it really does, like you said, Aiden, it really does test the filmmaker, it tests the actors, it tests the writers and stuff, and directors and all that shit. And I think it's the good thing for the show, and it always stands out, you know?
The thing is, like, with shows, from what I know of, like The Sopranos and shows like Breaking Bad, and things like that, the shows that are more grounded, they don't necessarily have to have like a silly episode, like an episode where Walter is chasing a fly around a room or something for an entire episode.
I love that episode.
So good.
And to be honest, like even that is like kind of tame because it is not particularly stylized in a certain way. It's just like a really well made bottle episode in a way. Whereas I think what me and Dylan are talking about are like kind of ultra stylizing episodes, which is cool. And the thing is, Doctor Who is the perfect show to do that. Like out of every show ever, Doctor Who is like the landmine for like being able to just stylize it, and like even just things like an episode set in the 70s, like just give it like a bit more of a 70s look, you know, give it like choose the color palette a bit more like 70s than a lot of it does these days, and maybe add things like film grade into the episode, because like why not, like it just adds something to the aesthetic of it.
It just
a lot
looks
of fun to be
interesting,
had there.
like, and cool. I do agree. I think Doctor Who needs to. Doctor Who Doctor Who is a weird show, you know. It needs to. It just do weird, like go strange, you know. Do stuff like It Takes You Away, but make it more like with the use of cameras and stuff. Like just do weird and interesting shit. Like, that's just what I want to see.
It doesn't have to look like the most modern iteration of television.
No, it doesn't.
Never really has. Like I like that the VFX are good these days, but like I don't know. I would prefer. I think the Moffat era had the best sort of what's the word? Balance of like VFX that are like pretty decent and more than passable, but also like making the show on a pretty consistent basis. Whereas now, like, they're obviously making the show to such a high standard that it's kind of hard to make it a lot. Like, I know people complain about the big gaps between the seasons, but I remember there was like a Q&A with Jodie and stuff promoting Series 12, and they were like, oh, you know what, the question was like, why did it take you so long to make a series or something? And they were like, well, we shot Series 11 over like a year, and then whilst that was sort of, you know, in the last months of post, we were getting ready for all the promo stuff for it, and then also gearing up to shoot Series 12, and then we went straight into shooting Series 12. So it's like, these things do happen back to back. It's just sometimes things take a while to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I agree.
Yeah. I think maybe that's something I'd like from the next showrunner. It is just like, let's just bring it back and have the show on air more, and maybe you have to make a few sacrifices there. Honestly, getting rid of fucking anamorphic lenses would be a huge help for that, because anamorphic lenses are so technical and so like time consuming. It's so easy to, like, if you're slightly off mark as an actor, you're like entirely out of focus and things like that. Like, you'd save time by not going anamorphic. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
God, BBC, listen. Listen to me.
Listen to me. I've got one more review, and I got just a couple polls to read out. Peg Dolls. Oh, this is from a new person sending it in, by the way.
Welcome aboard.
Whose Instagram handle is river.song_who. So thank you for sending this in. She, I assume, or he. Sorry, I actually don't know. The Peg Dolls generally scared me, though I quite like this episode. The idea of a little kid's nightmares being real is real smart, and it scares me, but I still enjoyed the episode. Also, George was really cute, so that was that. So thank you for that. And I've got a couple of... My favourite thing to do on Instagram is to hear from the audience. So I've been loving putting out polls and having people write in, have their opinions about stuff. It's been really fun. So I put out this week, because obviously we have heard the news about Chib leaving. I put, are you sad that Chib is leaving? And the majority vote with 14 was no, and there was 5 people who voted yes. So, and Aiden, you even voted yes, so there you go, that's interesting.
I think I've come to terms with that stuff a bit more. At the time, I was like, oh, I feel like he's maybe rushing his departure, but if he's had this plan from the start, and like when that statement came out saying that he'd always said to Jodie 3 seasons over the 5 years, that gives me a little bit more faith that he's not just like succumbing to the media being like, oh, you're shit. Like he is actually fulfilling the story that he planned. So I'm less butthurt about him leaving now.
Yeah, fair enough. And then the next one said, are you sad that Jodie's leaving? And 8 votes were for no and 12 votes for yes. So 60% was yes, 40% was no. And I didn't do the percentage for Chibnall's one. For Chibnall, are you sad he's leaving? Yes was 26 and no was 74%. So yeah, that was something interesting.
That is interesting.
I love doing that and like chucking out stuff on the Instagram. So I'm gonna start doing that more. And I like people writing in as well, saying their thoughts and feelings and stuff. But 2 things I want to bring up before we call it a day. Number one, I'll ask you this after this next question, Dylan, because I do want to hear about Daddy Pete in the Suicide Squad. Obviously, spoiler free because we haven't seen it.
Okay.
But before that, Dylan, bless him, messaged me and said, "Connor, I really hope you didn't click on that Instagram message you were talking about on the Good Man Goes to War of You because it's a fucking like scam or some shit." And I was like, "I knew it.
It is.
I knew it." And Aiden's like, "Oh, I'll click it. And I'm like, "No, don't click it."
Yeah, it's a scam.
Literally.
Connor sent it into my group chat with me and Dad, and I think like you expected me to be like, "Oh fuck, sorry, Connor, didn't. Oh, good job dodging that bullet."
Legit.
And I didn't cave. I just said lol. That's all I gave you, Connor.
Literally, I'm like, bro, like, you know, I look, I agree. I'm so superstitious, but like something about that just did not seem right. So, needless to say, that person who sent me that is now blocked. And I keep saying this, 90% of the time, people on Instagram to me have been really, really nice. But if you do want to send anything in, please do not send links because I will not be opening them. But yeah, regardlessly. Anyway, Dylan, spoiler-free review of the Suicide Squad. I'm so excited for it. And please tell us about Daddy Pete because I'm so excited to see him on the big screen.
Can we focus this review on Daddy Pete? Because I don't like to know too much. I just want to know like how much you really liked it. I'm not trying to get into plot specifics. Like,
okay,
I just want to know how it stands with like you feeling about Guardians 2 and stuff. Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Good lad.
So, I'll just say up front, this is my favourite film I've seen this year. Left the cinema genuinely shocked at how much I loved this film.
Yeah.
Everybody is great. Like everyone brings their A game. Capaldi's a really good, interesting character. And he's just, of course, he's going to be good. It's Capaldi, you know. It's just very weird to me, like seeing Peter Capaldi and John Cena in the same. Like they've met each other. Do you know how weird that is? Like John Cena has met the Doctor. That's so strange. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm gonna say it now. It's better than Guardians 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much.
Shut up. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Does it have much of a soundtrack like the Guardians movies, or is that just not really a big focus?
No, it does have some needle drops. It's not the main focus. Like the soundtrack in Guardians 1 is obviously very key to the film.
Yeah, I was interested to see how he would write around that. Yeah.
Not so much in this one, but it's got a really unique style compared to other DC films, and also it's just fun. Like it hasn't got that weird sort of dark, grim DC is DC is dark sort of vibe to it. It's really fun, you know. It's a really good time. I think you guys will like it.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
No, I definitely will.
Thursday can't come sooner.
Yeah.
Woo. I'm gassed. I saw my girlfriend sent me then, and they had the premiere tonight in Perth, and I'm so jelly. So 2 more days, and I can go see it. So I'm excited as. But yeah. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Oh, mate, I can't wait to talk to you about it. Actually, when I'll text you the minute I see it.
Cool. Love to hear good things about Daddy Pete. That's what we love.
We stand Daddy Pete. Yeah.
We stand Daddy Pete. All right, boys. Shall we give our final reviews for Night Terrors?
Sure.
Yes.
You first, Dylan.
First, Dylan.
I don't know. I'm feeling a 5. It's closer to a 4.
Wow.
But for me, it's a 5. It's just a fairly forgettable episode. It doesn't do anything to actively like annoy me. But it's not doing anything like special, and I'm never gonna sit there and go, "Oh, let me watch Night Terrors." Whilst I'm at it, can I just retroactively change my Curse of the Black Spot score? Because I listened to the episode and I was way too harsh. That episode, Curse of the Black Spot, is a solid like 2, 3. It's not a 1.
What
that
did
was
you
so
give it?
horrible of me. I don't know why I said that.
Well,
I don't know why I said that. That was a bit mean.
We can't change the scores, but I'll put next to it in brackets. Well, I could change the score if I wanted to, but me and Connor never allow ourselves to change the scores.
Right.
But I'll put a 2 or 3 next to the 1 in brackets.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah. What about you, Con?
wow, you guys fucking are gonna kill me. But I'm gonna give it a 7. I really just, as much as I hated it in a way, I really just had fun, and it was just groovy to sit down and watch an episode, which I thought kind of just was like a fun little bit of filler in the season. And in my opinion, so far, it's like Mark's best script. I can't deny it. I generally just had a good time watching it, but if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's not really cohesive or really that great. But yeah, I had a fun time with it, which is what I normally try and just measure my gradings out of. Is if I have a good time, and I did. So yeah, but it doesn't deserve anything more than a 7 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys know that I tend to go with, like, if it's 5 or above, it's a pass. I think this passes, like, it is, and it's an episode. If anything, it's just a Moffat era episode on autopilot, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Doesn't bring anything new. It just is a Moffat style episode. I guess Moffat / Gatiss. Didn't find it scary or any form of tension or any form real of enjoyment out of the episode. So, but it works, and there's a couple of neat moments of direction in there. So, give it a couple of bonus marks for that. I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Interesting.
Yeah, works.
Woo! Yeah, look, I'm looking back on the scores for this season, Connor, and they're just not great.
Yeah, I know. I've been
really not great. Like, you look on season 5, and there's only there's 2 episodes from me that are in yellow, which is below 7, and only 1 by you. And then
so fun,
beyond
though.
that, like series 4, 3, 2, and 1, they only have season 2 is not as great, but most of them only have like a couple of episodes in yellow and then maybe 1 episode in red. Whereas, this episode, I've already given 2 that are in red, which is below 6. Sorry, 3 that are below 6 in red, and you've given 2. And the last 3 guests have given not great scores. Save gave A Good Man Goes to War 3.14.
Hi.
And then Nick last week gave Let's Kill Hitler -7. So
It's just and
now Dylan was 5.
It's just not a very cohesive series. I think it's such a drop from season 5 that was really solid.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the show. That's the show, everybody.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Thank you.
Woo,
Thanks
great.
for coming on, Dylan.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Dylan.
you
Always
for
great to have
having
you.
me again.
No worries.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you again in a town called Mercy, I believe is the word on the street.
Yes, a town called Mercy. Is the episode I would love to come on for.
Cool.
Fun app.
And I would like to also pre-book, if possible, The Crimson Horror.
Wow. Another gutter script.
And whilst I'm at it, can I also pre-book Time Heist as well?
I'll allow it.
Nice.
I'll allow
Thank you.
it. Yeah, okay. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I was looking ahead at the schedule, at the calendar. And, depending on the week that Series 13 comes out, I think, Connor, we should be looking towards being finishing Series 7 Part 1 before the new series starts. So, like, if we're an episode or 2 out, maybe we just got to do a couple of weeks of, like, double episodes or something like that. That's looks like sort of where we'll be, which I think is a good place to pause for a mo when we watch the new series. That'll be weird, won't it?
Yeah. Well,
Are you gonna
excited?
Are you going to change the cover like you did for the Revolution of the Daleks one?
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, so when it's new episodes, I'll do,
I didn't think
do
about
a new pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of fun. But because this is like a rewatch show, so it's a bit different when we are doing like first thoughts, because it throws the entire sort of back half of the show out of whack, because there's no like behind the scenes stuff for it out when the episode's immediately out, and there's not really going to be a goof of the week, because especially with these newer series, there's not many goofs, and I doubt anyone would have had enough time to jump on TARDIS Wiki to find stuff. So the only thing I was thinking was maybe we push the our friends online and people like Dylan maybe we change the segment a bit and we give you guys like a minute audio review that you can send in on Anchor. Yeah.
I think my plan with Series 13 is that I don't know if you saw yesterday, but I basically tweeted that I want to start making videos again. And that the purpose of that tweet was to be like for me to look back on it and be like, right, you've said this, now you actually have to go and do it.
Now you've said it on this show. You've got to do it.
Yeah, now I've said it on this show. I've got to do it. So I think Series 13, I might do... right, I'm going to use this word, but it's not in the way you think. I'm going to do reaction videos to Series 13. Not in terms of me sat down watching the episode, but I mean like the episode will finish and I'll film my immediate thoughts on the episode each week.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I could definitely send something in for the show.
Yeah. I just think it would be like cool, get people maybe a little bit more involved than just writing a couple of words online, and it'll just buff out the last half of our show really. But it's also cool to like, kind of have you guys on the show in a way, because those 6 episodes, because we're going to be busting them out like as quick as we can between me and Connor, like we're not going to have any guests on for them. It's going to be just me and Connor. So it'll be great to have you guys sort of involved in some way.
And and we'll obviously like even if people can't send stuff into like Anchor and stuff, like we'll as quickly as we can chuck on the socials if you want to send in some quick reviews, and we'll obviously talk about them and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
that's going to be hard, getting people's audio reviews within like the first day of the episode.
That reminds
coming
me.
out.
Oh, sorry, quickly. That reminds me. I nearly forgot it again. So Shane sent me a review. He put great thriller episode. He did send me a review for Curse of Black Spot, which I forgot to read. So I did message him on Sunday, and I was like, "Hey Shane, surely a message for the show. Haven't heard from you in a while." I was like, "Funny you say that. I did do a review for the Curse of Black Spot, and you forgot to read it, but it's cool." And I was like, "Bruh." So I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I forgot to read it. But yeah, that just reminded me. I would have forgotten his fucking review again. My bad. Sorry.
God damn it, Connor. God damn it.
Awful.
I'm
awful.
sorry. My DMs on
what a shit host.
Instagram, fuck off. My DMs on Instagram for
Terrible.
$50 are like all over the shop.
Crazy. All right. Let's end it there. A lot of fun stuff coming. New season, new Doctor and showrunner. Gonna be great. Next week, Girl Who Waited. I think Dan may or may not be coming on, seeing as Dylan reminded me of that the other day.
Yeah, we forgot
Thanks,
about
Dylan.
that, but he should be. I'll talk to him about it when I see him on Thursday.
We're back to back again.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It's how you guys work.
Which makes me think, will Dan be on for the Power 3
Who knows?
next series?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Jeez Louise. God, we're having a lot of guests on. A lot of guests. It's been great. Good fun. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Connor. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 50Doctor. Follow me on Twitter at Greeny_Pro. Connor on Twitter at HannumConnor. And
Correct.
Dylan on Twitter at...
Dylan makes stuff.
Dylan Makes Stuff. There you go.
Yeah, Planet Dylan was the old one.
Oh, yeah. Fuck that one. We're on Dylan
Yeah.
Makes Stuff now. That's the good one.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Connor, lead us out in song.
Let's go.
All right. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this?
Dylan's favorite
Yep.
segment.
Dylan's favourite segment. And a 1,
Great.
and a 2, and a skiddly diddly do.
It's Aiden.